Hey there and welcome back to Sims Sunday. My name is Pete and in this series we try to complete The Sims 3. And after an episode filled with completion last week, today we have to begin by fighting off a burglar. And he is stealing the Simlife goggles, one of the most valuable items in our home. I don't think we can let that fly. Alright, I actually wanted Ayesha to take care of this because she has the brave trait, but Patrick took care of that first. Maybe as the child of a former police officer, his protective senses were activated here. Alright, with the burglar taken care of, now everyone can go back to bed, that is except for Pauline and Ayesha. Ayesha is almost well rested, so she will begin the day with a bit of bug collecting. Up now. While after a nice shower, Pauline can have breakfast. Afterwards, she can use the computer to play some chess and raise the logic skill and also the fun bar. That is really the only skill that makes sense to raise right now. For her future career as a criminal, she will also need the athletic skill, but we can't train that as long as she's a child. With Ayesha, there are currently no more bugs to be collected, so she can now spend a few hours working from home and raise that work performance meter. And now as Paul wakes up, we have a bit of a problem because we have both computers already in use and I would like him to write something. That means we have to tell Pauline to stop playing chess, and I have transferred the second volume of the logic skill book over to her, that was in Chastity's inventory. So now Pauline can continue to raise her logic skill while Paul can write. That, however, means that we now have no option for Chastity to raise a logic skill, so instead she will begin her day with a normal breakfast. Since we successfully fought off the burglar, he also did not steal the Simlife goggles, so even though they are no longer on the desk, they are in the family inventory, from where we can put them back where they belong. And since Ayesha is getting a bit stressed, we can also tell her to use them immediately and get that fun bar back up. And just a few moments later, the fun bar is where it needs to be. So with new beetles and butterflies spawned around Sunset Valley, Ayesha can now continue to collect. Back at home, both Pauline and Paul stopped their current activities. Meanwhile, Patrick is also awake and preparing breakfast for himself, while Chastity is outside grabbing the mail. We can sell most of what we just received, and then transfer the logic skill book back from Pauline to Chastity. Then we can tell Pauline to hop back on the computer that we just removed Paul from, because the one that he's currently writing on is too cheap to play chess on. And now let's jump back over to the kitchen where Patrick just completed the Star Chef challenge in the cooking skill. As we can see in his skill journal, he has now prepared 50 meals, and that completes this challenge and also makes all future meals a bit better. And after breakfast, Patrick immediately proceeds to the next achievement. In the garden we can see Patrick has successfully grown a money tree. Now back to Paul and Chastity. All the writing has made Paul a bit stressed, and Chastity will leave soon, so we will use the time that she is still here and raise his fun bar again. Afterwards, she can spend a bit more time with the logic skill book while Paul makes a very important phone call. For a work opportunity that when fulfilled can give us an instant promotion, we need to become enemies with Marvin Keaton. And to achieve that, let's invite him over. Well, that didn't go as planned, so let's continue to write for the moment. And the chess games are starting to pay off. Pauline has just increased her logic skill to level 4. And in the garden we can see that Patrick has not only grown a money tree, but also numerous death flower plants. And thanks to the green thumb trait, there is something that we can do with those. Now I accidentally had him dispose of one here. What I actually meant was this. With the green thumb trait and a high enough gardening skill, Patrick is able to revive plants, and that is immensely useful for a plant like the death flower, which dies immediately after being harvested. Now, thanks to all this gardening work, Patrick has gotten pretty smelly. However, his workday is starting soon and we will definitely want him to work his shift. Yes, we have already reached level 10 in the cooking career, so we could switch careers to the next one I have planned for him. But in that one, he wouldn't work on the weekend anyways, so we might as well collect 2 paychecks here and then switch on Sunday evening. The start of Patrick's shift at work is also always the signal for Chastity to stop what she's doing, because with the clock ticking past 3 PM we are now able to perform a concert. And Chastity's counter is still a bit behind, so let's teleport her over to the theater and fix that. Now let me show you something that we can do with Pauline. Pauline is a kleptomaniac, and that means she occasionally swipes things from other people. I don't exactly know when and where that happened, but apparently she has stolen a fern in the past. But for a small mood boost and with very little effort, we can return that to its original owner. We can simply use the mailbox to return the stolen item, and that will give Pauline a nice positive moodlet. She can now grab something to eat, and her being close to the fridge gives another positive moodlet. That is the plus 30 mood superior fridge moodlet, and we have that fridge as a career reward for Patrick, and so everyone who passes by here gets that moodlet for a few hours. Now, outside of the theater we can see Chastity has just completed a concert, and there are only 15 minutes left until her shift starts. So let's get her working, and with the work performance meter where it is, she is pretty much guaranteed a promotion anyway, so we don't really have to work hard and instead can have her chat with her coworkers. And as Chastity begins her workday, Ayesha's comes to an end. Her mood was pretty poor though, so we didn't really advance much. My main priority with her is collecting anyway, so that doesn't bother me too much. And we also always have the option to work from home. Ayesha will now begin collecting as we get interrupted by a message for Paul. These small payments that he gets from time to time for submitting in pages of his current book, those payments have apparently pushed him over the threshold as he completes the speedwriter skill challenge in the writing skill, with now over 30,000 simoleons earned from writing. Meanwhile, Ayesha has just caught a Zephyr metal mark butterfly, and that means that we now have found over half of all butterflies with her. Now, after a presumably fun day at work, Patrick's shift comes to an end. As planned, he collects a paycheck and a good amount of fun, but no raises or anything. At home, I think it's time to call Marvin Keaton one more time. And it seems like he finally agrees to meet us. Oh Marvin, if you just knew what's about to happen. Patrick has now returned from the restaurant and is fishing right here at our home spot. I'm trying to catch a few minnow with him because those are the bait for piranha and those are in turn the bait for robot fish, and we haven't caught one of those yet. And look who's here, Marvin Keaton has arrived, so how about we start things off with a rude introduction. Wonderful, we can escalate things from here, throw a few insults his way, and sooner or later we should be able to declare him a nemesis, which immediately fills the negative side of the relationship bar to the maximum. And here we are, Marvin Keaton is now an enemy of Paul, let's slap him for good measure, and then we can, surprisingly politely, tell him to leave again. Paul can now continue to write for a while, and we jump over to Pauline, who has grabbed the logic skill book again, and is already very close to reaching level 5 in the logic skill. However, her bladder need keeps her from progressing any further. While Pauline takes care of her needs, Chastity's workday comes to an end, and as expected, she gets rewarded with a promotion. Now a backup vocalist, she has reached level 7 of the music career. This also unlocks the rocker hidden trait, which occasionally plays a few interesting animations, but it also brings her one promotion closer to the completion of the music career, and that is what counts. At home, Pauline is now the first one to go to bed, but Chastity joins soon after. And while Patrick has stopped fishing for now and is eating autumn salad for dinner, a dead tired Ayesha returns from her collecting trip and will also go to bed now. While Patrick hops under the shower after dinner, we can see that Pauline has apparently broken the toilet, so we will need to fix that soon. Before we get to that, however, Paul finally finishes his fantasy novel. It doesn't seem to be a bestseller or anything, but a moderate success nonetheless. That means Paul can now also go to sleep and Patrick can repair the toilet. And that brings us to the Handiness skill and its future importance for Patrick. The career I have planned for Patrick next is the science career. That allows us to make good use of his gardening and fishing skills, but it also requires handiness and we don't have a single point in that skill just yet. So for that reason we will likely soon begin to train Patrick in the Handiness skill. He won't need it until career level 3 I believe, but hopefully that comes sooner rather than later. Now, with the toilet repaired and the bathroom cleaned up, Patrick can finally also go to bed, and we can make the cut in this episode. Yes, I know, only one day, normally I do 2, but for one day the episode was moderately long, and I also have to attend a family birthday over the weekend, so time was once again somewhat limited. Next week we will continue then with the career change for Patrick, and also with the final promotion for Paul, which will in turn also trigger a career change for him. Until then, however, I can say thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.